This is a public information meeting for a proposed zoning bylaw amendment for the property at 4120 Black Sage Road. A public information meeting is informal in nature, so that just means that there's no formal minutes that are being taken, but we are recording the meeting. Any comments that you would like to provide for the Regional District Board to review at first and second reading of the proposed amendment bylaw should be submitted in writing, so either by email or by feedback form. And myself and the applicant are available to answer any questions. We might not be able to answer all the questions, but always happy to follow up. So in terms of Webex, how do we use Webex? During a public information meeting, we'll take questions in turn. So as I mentioned before, Richard, since you're on the phone, you'll just have to press *3 to raise your hand, and I'll just let you know when you're unmuted so that you can speak. And then once you're done, just click *3 again, just to take your hand down. So just about the application status, it was submitted on June 22nd, 2022. We did our agency referrals, which included the Agricultural Land Commission, the Interior Health Authority, the Ministry of Agriculture, etc., on June 28th, 2022. Tonight's the public information meeting, and the Advisory Planning Commission will be reviewing this application at its next meeting on July 19th, 2022. The Regional District Board will be considering this application for first and second reading on August 4th, 2022. And then following that meeting, if first and second reading is approved, a public hearing would be scheduled, as well as the application would be reviewed for a third reading and adoption by the board.
Great, thank you. That's great.
And so just a bit about the proposal. As I mentioned, this is for the property of 4120 Black Sage Road. The OCP designation of this property is agriculture, so it's AG, and the zoning of the property is agriculture 1, which is AG1. The property is entirely within the ALR, which means that any uses of the land must adhere to the Agricultural Land Reserve or Agricultural Land Commission's regulations. The parcel is approximately 5.28 hectares in size and currently contains vineyards, a tasting and bakery building, as well as a wine production and residence building. Now, in terms of the relevant provisions that apply to this property, particularly as it relates to the Agriculture 1 zoning, the zoning bylaw does permit an accessory dwelling subject to section 7.1 of the zoning bylaw. And that really just states that parcels under 8 hectares or less are permitted one accessory dwelling to a maximum floor area of 125 square meters. Now, specifically for the Agricultural Land Reserve provisions, parcels within the ALR are permitted a principal residence of up to 500 square meters in total floor area. And the principal residence is the first dwelling to be constructed on the property. There's an additional provision that the ALR, the ALC also allows for parcels 40 hectares or less in size. And that is that one additional residence is permitted without an application to the ALC of up to 90 square meters in total floor area. So one thing that I did want to point out in this case, I refer to this dwelling as a accessory dwelling specifically because it does not meet the definition of single detached dwelling, which is that it must be a detached building. And in this case, it is attached to a winery production building, or it would be attached to a winery production building as well as a tasting room. So that's kind of why it has to fall within the accessory dwelling provisions. So with all that in mind, the proposed amendment that is under application is to amend the Okanagan Valley zoning bylaw from Agriculture 1 to Agriculture 1 site specific for the property in order to construct a 271 square meter accessory dwelling. And I've just included some of the elevations that just show the different layerings of this building. It's, from what I understand, it's going to be a three-level building that's multi-use. So the top floor would be the residence. Then you've got the second floor here, which is the tasting room and the bakery. And right at the bottom would be the wine production building. And with that in mind, I will just go ahead and pass it over to Norman and Fiona, just in case you want to add anything else that I didn't cover. And there's just my contact information, just in case anyone wants to get that down. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Shannon. That was great. Uh, I think the kind of salient point is that the residence is located on top of the proposed winery building to kind of preserve agricultural land. You know, we're doing what we can to maximize uh, vineyard production area on this property because it's not a large property. And so we'd like to ensure that we can maintain as much vineyard production as possible. Uh, and the footprint of the production and winery bakery was determined by the programmatic uses, the functions for those two spaces, and the residence just sits right on top of them, on top of that space. So it's not like we're trying to add a huge residence that doesn't fit on top of the proposed winery building. It just kind of sits right on top. It's not like it's extravagant in that sense. I don't know, Fiona, is there anything you'd like to add? I mean, Shannon, we've talked at some length about the reuse of the existing residence on the property, Fiona has confirmed that it will be decommissioned, and the main floor, which will stay as storage, and the upper floor will kind of be converted to a storage space. So there will only be one residence on the property.
Perfect. Thank you.
Fiona, is there anything that you'd like to add?
I don't think so, because like you said, it's pretty laid it out, and I've forwarded all the information that I have in regards to the different bylaws with my second email there yesterday.
Yeah, with that, I don't see any hands up for questions.
Shannon, actually, I have a question for you.
You
I received another meeting agenda, and that's for the APC.
Yes.
So is that for the agricultural then? That's because the RDOS is also on the letterhead. So I just wanted to see if this was an additional meeting to what we're doing, or it now includes the agricultural land.
So the Advisory Planning Commission, that's separate from the Agricultural Land Commission. They're a separate, completely separate organization.
Okay.
But when we have rezoning applications, they first have to go to a public information meeting, and that's predominantly, like I said, it's a meeting to get information out on the application itself so that anyone who's interested has the opportunity to learn about it and ask any questions. But the second step in that application process then is to bring the application to the Advisory Planning Commission. And these are board appointed volunteers that review these applications and make an official recommendation to the board. So it's a bit more formal than what we have tonight.
Okay.
I wouldn't be there, unfortunately, but they would be going through the application. They may ask you some questions about the proposal itself if they have any at that time.
Okay.
And yeah, so formal minutes would be taken and then presented to the board with a formal recommendation.
Oh,
But a decision is not made at that meeting. It would still have to go to the board for first and second reading, and then a public hearing, and then third reading and adoption.
okay. Generally speaking, how long does that take?
It really depends on the timing of everything. So when we have public hearings, we do have a minimum, like a legislative requirement to notify that public hearing. And I believe we have to put it in 2 consecutive newspaper ads. So that sometimes takes a while. What I'm aiming for at this point is if first and second reading is approved by the board, it would likely come forward to a September 4th board meeting.
For a third reading and adoption on September the 4th. Okay.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
And nowadays our public hearings are held right just in the morning of the board meeting before the rest of the agenda. So we're no longer, I don't think that we're doing delegated public hearings anymore, which would sometimes take place at different times.
Shannon, in the APC meeting that Fiona just referred to, is there public engagement in that meeting? Do they have opportunity for public involvement?
So members of the public are able to join those meetings and listen in. It's not like a public information meeting where it's, a bit of a discussion, right? it's really focused
Okay.
on the APC members themselves having the conversation and coming to making that formal motion for a recommendation.
Okay. Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay, and then after this is all then completed, at that point, then that's when the building permits are released, or is that a separate?
No, this process, Fiona, allows us to make the building permit application.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So hopefully, you know, if it seems after the first and second reading, we'll get a feeling about the kind of the support from the board for this proposal. And if it seems positive, then we would carry on with the construction drawings so that as soon as the third reading and adoption is done, then we'd make a building permit application.
Yeah, and at
And
the point of first and second reading afterwards, I don't know if you've been in contact with the Agricultural Land Commission about that yet, but I know that they do have some provisions that would require you to apply to them on a kind of like a fast-tracked application process in order to live in your existing dwelling while constructing a new one and then decommissioning it afterwards. So that's just something to take in consideration. Their timelines, sometimes vary. I know that they are
Okay.
quite short-staffed right now, so I would recommend just getting in touch with them, as soon as possible.
So Shannon, for the when we complete the renderings, we will just forward them on to you. So you would include them in the information package that would be sent off to the board members.
Yep, that would be great. I
Okay.
can wait to send to upload anything then. I
Okay.
think I'm just taking a look at my calendar right now to see when the last day would be to get the updated drawings before the board meeting, but everything will just be posted online. I'm just hoping to if I can get the renderings if I can get the renderings before the 22nd, I can include them in my board report.
Okay. Would you be requiring a landscape plan at this point in time, Shannon?
No, we wouldn't require a landscape plan for this
Okay.
application.
Great, thank you. And would the same go for signage, Shannon? Would you need a signage plan at this point in time, or is that something that you look at later during the actual review process?
We don't look at signage, at least like from a planning perspective.
Okay.
Yeah, because we don't really have any development permit requirements for
For
this
this property?
property. Yeah, or at least form and character development permit.
Okay.
So yeah, we wouldn't be requiring that on our end.
Okay, great, thank you.
Oh, actually, I have a question. The development sign that we have up on the property right now, how long does that have to stay up for?
You would either have to keep it up 7 days after the closure of the public hearing or after the board's decision. So, I mean, in that case, it's just a week after, right, the board meeting,
Okay.
where it
No
gets,
worries.
if it were to get adopted.
Okay, great. Great. I'll let the tractor driver know. If it comes down before that, please note it was by accident. We'll get.
It's been a quiet night tonight.
Yes, it has. But
Well, it's
yeah,
really nice outside, so everybody's out.
and it looks beautiful outside right now.
Still pretty warm.
Oh yeah. Yeah, so it is 7:30 now. So, Fiona and Norman, thank you for coming. And, you're welcome to stay on for sure if you want to listen to the next one. Otherwise, feel free to hop off. That's okay.
Okay. Thank you
Thank you.
so much, Shannon. Thanks for your help.
Thank you, Shannon.
BC.
Great.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Rick.
Bye-bye.
Take care now. Thank you. Thank you, Fiona.
Yep. See you later on.
Okay, bye-bye.